Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our book day. We're just setting up. We've just recorded a couple of sessions for some schools across the UK. I'm just going to see if I can get you a little bit of music to play. Just get a little bit of warm-up music. We have got a fantastic session lined up for you today. We have got a super session. We've got Grandad Wheels. We have got so much to show you, so much to talk about. We've got a live author, a young teacher who's going to come and speak to us. But today is a very special day. Today is not just World Book Day. Today is the birthday, or would have been the birthday, of this amazing man, Sir Ken Robinson. And today we ask, imagine if we value dance as much as we value maths. Imagine if we could reset the education system. Imagine if we could take responsibility for our actions and impact on the environment. Imagine if everybody read books. Imagine if people had wonderful books that they could read, like this one. This is one of my favorite books. Oops, that's not good. Look what happened there. Oh, my computer reset. Can you still see me? Wonderful books like this, like Good Ideas, How to Be Your and Your Child's Best Teacher. A wonderful book there from Michael Rosen, who's one of our favourite authors. He's got so many books. He's just done a lovely book about the National Health Service and love. So Michael Rosen, super guy there. We're going to talk about all sorts of super books. We might mention Rocket Boys very briefly, because we've done that to death. And we might mention the book that I've written, but again, we're not here to promote my books. We've got a young author coming on. We've got a reading of a book that a year ago, I went to the Isle of Wight, and I was given this book by a teacher, Richard Simpson, on the Isle of Wight. So he's become a really good friend. We ran a book festival last year. And what today's all about is those connections, the power of creativity, the power of art. We're going to be going to Furs Primary School in Birmingham. We're going to be doing a reading for them from that book. We're going to mention this super book, which is one of my favourite books at the moment. This is Rise Up by Stormzy. And I'll dedicate this to Rachel Snape, because that's her new hashtag Rise Up. I don't know if she copied it off Stormzy or copied it off me, or just came up with it. I bet she did. This is another one of my favourite books. I'm going to talk about this very quickly now. This is a book for all the grown-ups. If you want your grown-up, if your mums and dads and carers are a bit too serious and you think they need to chill out a bit and be a little bit more relaxed, get them a copy of this book. It's called Wild Thing. And this is by a fantastic head teacher. In fact, I might be able to get a video of him. Let me see if I can find a video of this head teacher. Now, everything I'm doing today, I'm just doing as I go, so you're going to have to bear with me, because we don't have much time to practice and plan all this. I hope this is going out. Can somebody put me a little message up and say if they're watching it? There's a few people logged on watching it. That's good. Just tell me if the audio's okay. Let's have a comment. So happy book day. Happy... I think you lost me there, didn't you? I'm sorry about that. And I'll tell you exactly what happened. I put the books down over there, and over there is my wireless keyboard. And I put the books on the keyboard, and the computer started doing itself. Oh my goodness. What a failure I am. Epic book fail today. Epic fail I am. So let me just put a shout out to anybody, see if there's anybody out there still. We've got some people. I'm going to type a message. Happy World Book Day. Make sure I don't get any spelling mistakes in there. Happy World Book Day. Now, if you want to type a message in, I can click on it and make it come up on the screen like this. So your messages will come up on the screen. So anything you type in, and we'll make this interactive. And if lots of people come on, we could always get a Zoom room going, and you could even get your videos on as well if your teachers and parents and carers will allow that. So where was I before I rudely interrupted myself? I haven't even had any breakfast yet because I've just done a recording for my friends at First Primary. And I should probably get that video going for them. And in 5 minutes, we've got an amazing, amazing teacher coming on. And she sent me a lot of stuff. And I'm just going to send Lumber a message, make sure he's monitoring it. So I've got my phone. I can text messages. I can keep in touch with you. Now, she is, oh my goodness, Miss Newton is from Liverpool. And she's a year 3 teacher and a lover of children's books, and she's written one. She's a bit like me. She likes books so much, she wrote herself a book. Fantastic. So I was telling you about this book, wasn't I? This book here is the book that you need to get for your mums and dads and carers if they're a bit boring, if they're a bit square, if they're a bit stressed out because of lockdown, a bit stressed out because of money, and I know that feeling, believe me, then this is the book you should get them. You should get them the book called Wild Thing. Now, this book has 4 things. Number 1, that you should live a creative life. Okay, what does that mean? Well, that means you could do some painting. It means you could make some models like this. Look, I've got a card. Look at this model here. That a lovely man called Darryl Wakeland made this for me. And this is a model of Coventry Cathedral. It's a very, very, very special Coventry Cathedral. And I'll show you why it's special, because it inspired this building I'm on now. I don't know if you can see me. I'm down here. Can you see me down the bottom here? Hello, everybody. It inspired me because he made this cathedral very special, because the tower takes off and goes to space like that. Isn't that incredible? Absolutely incredible. And at the end of this World Book Day assembly I'm going to do for you, we are going to fire the tower off this cathedral. You're going to see it with your own eyes. So please don't go away. We've got lots and lots to talk about. I haven't had time to do a PowerPoint to tell you what's happening, so I'm going to tell you what's happening. We've got Miss Newton coming on from Liverpool in 4 minutes, so I need to send her a link. Let me do that first. That'd be a good thing, wouldn't it, if she had her link. Now, Malumba's there as well in the background. You might get Malumba on later on. We'll send you the link as well. But let me just get her a link. So what I have to do is I have to click on here. And if you want to see my tech, you have to put a message up and say, I want to see your technique, and I'll show you my tech. Because I have got possibly the best tech of anybody in the world for doing live streams now. It's very hard. I don't pretend it's easy, but it allows us to do great things, and great things are worth persevering at, aren't they? We don't want to use PowerPoint and nonsense like that. We want to do cool things. So let me just send this lovely lady a link. But she can't do it on Safari, so do not use Safari, only use the Chrome browser. Okay, so she's sitting there wondering, where's my video call? So she's now got her video call. So she's going to come in a minute. I'll be able to hear her when she comes in, hopefully. Let me just set that up so we can hear her. Okay, so we'll hear her in a minute, and you'll be able to hear her as well when she dials in. So this book here, Wild Thing, live a creative life. So make things from cardboard, do painting, do dancing, listen to music, make music, all these things. But you could also do what we call gamify life. Make fun, make life a bit of a game. So, for example, you could just play the gratitude game. I call it the gratitude game. Be grateful. Be grateful for everything. Be grateful for the little things. Be grateful for the little things. So, for example, if you trip over and graze your knee and cry, which is fine, when you stop crying, say to yourself, well, at least I didn't break my leg. If you drink half a cup of juice and then spill the rest, say, oh no, but at least I had some of it to drink. If one day you haven't got any money, but you have had some food, say, well, I'm lucky to have some food, I'm grateful. That's the gratitude game. And grown-ups and children, everybody can play the gratitude game. And that's one of Mike Fairclough's ideas. So the first thing is to play the gratitude game. The second thing is, if you're grateful, so you First thing is live a creative life. For example, play the gratitude game. If you are grateful, then it's proven you will be happier. You will be happier. If you're grateful, you will be happier because you won't be jealous. You won't wish you'd got better things or cooler things or things like him or fast things like them or sweets like them or videos like him or a tablet like that or the latest computer game. You'll be grateful for whatever you've got, even if it isn't very much. And if you're happy, mark my words, if you're happy, you will get lucky. It doesn't mean you're going to find a £50 note on the floor. It doesn't mean you're going to go on a fantastic holiday necessarily, but it does mean you won't want to sit at home and be boring and dull and not talk to people. You might go on the internet if you're in lockdown and make some connections, make some friends, as long as it's safe and your mums and dads are there to make sure that any friends or people you talk to are the right people and it's safe, because you know all about your safety. You, when there's no lockdown, as grown-ups and children, you might speak to other boys and girls in the playground and make some friends and make what we call connections. So that's why I think this is a super, super book, because it's called Wild Thing and it's for grown-ups to embrace childhood traits in adulthood. That means, well, what does that mean? That's a bit grown up. For a happier, more carefree life. What it really means is chill out a bit, have a bit of fun, be a little bit childlike. Now I can see that Miss Newton is in my green room. Miss Newton's getting all poshed up. She's tidied her hair up. She's got her best, oh, she's got a lovely top on. Now I'm going to have to do a bit of jiggery pokery here. So let me just wait a minute. And I know what these teachers are like. They don't like being kept waiting. So I better get my show on the road here. So I'm going to click that there and zoom out. Now, where should we put her? Should we put her by Ken Robinson, or should we put her over the Coventry sign? I think we'll put her by the Coventry sign. So I've got a few buttons to press. She's thinking, blimey, he's got Zoom. It should be easier than this. What's he doing? Well, it's a bit harder than Zoom, miss. I've got to tell you that. So just 1 second while I set this up. I've got to remember whereabouts I'll put you over there in tra-la-la. I've got, usually when you use it, you have lots and lots of people to press all these buttons for you. There she is. Actually, she's right behind me. Behind you, Nick. That's what everybody says to me at moments like this. Let me just jiggle her about a little bit. I'm going to move it just up just a teeny bit if I can. I can't. Why can't I move her? Maybe I'm moving the wrong one. Let me just. Can you hear me, miss?
I can, yes.
Oh, don't do that. I tell you, it's awful when people pause like that. I think, oh my goodness, they can't hear me. So thank you for joining us. It's lovely to see you.
And you too. Thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome. We got a bit of a Scouse accent now. You're from Liverpool.
I am.
Whereabouts, miss? What's the name of your school? Let's have a shout out for your school.
I work at Croxteth Primary School.
Croxteth Primary?
Yeah.
That rings a bell, actually. Have I ever been there?
I'm not sure. You might have. It's in North Liverpool.
Oh, North Liverpool, up by North Liverpool Academy?
It's not too far from there, actually, yeah.
I've got a lot of good friends up there. I love North Liverpool Academy. I had a fantastic day.
My partner actually works at North Liverpool Academy.
Your partner works there?
He does, right. Yeah.
So he'd know Mr. Otley O'Connor because he was head teacher there until recently, wasn't he?
He probably will, yeah.
Well, you obviously didn't talk about his head teacher at home. That's fair enough. And you have a bit of no talking about work at home, do you? When
we try to, yeah.
So what are your plans for World Book Day, miss?
Well, I am doing virtual World Book Day with my class. I've just come off a Zoom with them where we've done a drop everything and read session. So we've just stopped in the middle of our maths lesson and done a nice bit of reading of a picture book. And we've got a few activities planned this afternoon. And the children have been challenged to turn a potato into a children's book character. So there's plenty going on for them to join in with.
Well, that's very creative, isn't it?
It certainly is. We've seen some interesting characters so far.
Are you familiar with Sir Ken Robinson, who you're on stage with at the moment, the chap on the other side there? Do you know his work?
Briefly, I had a little look at what you were doing before, and I've just sort of skimmed over.
So Sir Ken Robinson was he passed away last summer, but he's generally considered to be possibly the most one of the most creative education people in the whole world when he was around. And he did a talk on, you know, the TED Talks.
Mm-hmm.
He did a talk on the TED Talks, and it's had 300 million views.
Wow.
And it's all about how important creativity is in schools, and how important creative teachers like you are in our schools. Because I believe that you're very, very creative, because you've written a book, I believe, yeah?
I have, yeah, and I definitely agree with you there. It's so important to make sure that we give our children opportunities to express themselves and create things and come up with new ideas.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your book, Miss.
So I've got it here. So my book, I've written it with a friend of mine called Kyrome Adams and our illustrators called Tony Ansell, and it's called My Daddy Changed the World. It's about an event that happened recently. A lot of people might remember in the last lockdown the tragedy that happened with George Floyd, and a lot of teachers and parents messaged me on Twitter and asked how they could talk about this really important issue and about how Black people might face certain discrimination with children. So we came up with the idea of putting it into a children's book, because I believe that the best way to get messages across are through books, because I love reading myself and I know that lots of children do. So we created this a bit of a social story, if you like, to get the message across and give parents and teachers an opportunity to discuss the important issues with their kids.
Wow, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't familiar with the actual subject of the book, because I know that Mr. Finch, Ed Finch, connected us, didn't he?
He did, yeah. And
I mean, this almost feels serendipitous. Do you know what serendipity means?
I do.
I don't mean to be sarcastic. What I really meant was, as a teacher, could you explain to us? Sorry, that was very what's the word? Another P word. Patronising. I beg your pardon, Miss. Yes, tell everybody what that word means that I've just told you about, which I've forgotten.
It's like an unplanned but fortunate discovery of something.
Serendipity, that's right. So basically, serendipity is a super word, but it's all about coincidence. And you're from Liverpool, so Ken Robinson's from Liverpool. Today would have been his birthday, so there's a worldwide celebration of his work, which you'll see called the Imaginative Festival. And here you are talking about Black Lives Matter, about coming together, about respect, about unity. So what would you like to do? Would you like to read a little bit of the book, Miss, or tell us a bit more about it, or how would you like to play it? I know you sent some stuff. I need to pull that in.
It's a very short book, so I could read it for you very quickly if you'd like, and show you the pictures. And then if anybody wanted to, the link is it's free, available as an ebook online, so you could also find it for yourself if you wanted.
Well, if you'd like to read it all, Miss, I would be delighted to do that. So would you like, if you go through, you read it then? And then I'll find some pictures and I'll put them up as you go. But that's fantastic. Lovely. Go through it.
Okay, so our book's called
My Daddy Changed the World. Wonderful.
Okay. So our main character is a little girl called Gigi. And Gigi's there in the picture you can see on the floor, cuddled up with her mum and dad. It says, "Mummy and Daddy are watching TV, and snuggled between them is little Gigi. Gigi sighs, 'Oh, Mummy, do we have to watch the news? It's boring and it makes me want to snooze.'" I think a lot of children know that feeling of having to watch the news and being a little bit bored by it.
I like the way that rhymes, Miss, as well. news and snooze.
Mummy detangles Gigi's luscious hair. She moisturises and conditions it with care. "Gigi, the news is so important to see how what happens around us affects you and me." Daddy's face is fixated on the screen. He's upset about something that he has just seen. "Daddy, why do you look so sad? What did the man do that was so bad?" So you can see they're watching the news and they've seen some really upsetting images that have made them really have to have a think. "My angel Gigi, you're old enough to comprehend that some people think the melanin in your skin can offend. Unfortunately, in this world, not everyone gets along. Just by being darker, some people think you're doing wrong. You can be mistreated for the colour of your skin. Just walking whilst black can be seen as a sin. There are some rogue police out there who will stop you for being black. Remember, hands out of your pocket. Look up and don't fight back. And then we've got some pictures here of what some children might have to deal with on a sort of daily basis, of just being a little bit different to other people and having a different coloured skin, having different hair. And then we've got a picture of Daddy coming back, and it says, Daddy's going to the shop to get a snack. He says, I can't wait to see your hair when I get back. In 20 minutes, he'll be home. Mummy replies, I know, but first, pass me that comb. Gigi knows Daddy will get her favourite treats. She thinks of all the lovely things she wants to eat. And then here you can see in the picture that Daddy's gone to the store, and there are some people who don't really look very kindly towards him. Where is Daddy? Gigi asks. He's been gone for a while. Mummy says, let me call and check, because that ain't Daddy's style. Gigi looks for a show to choose, and accidentally she turns on the news. Look, Daddy's on TV, but what's that police officer doing with his knee? And sadly she sees something really terrible happening to her dad. The police should help Daddy. He's on the floor crying. They're all just standing there staring and complying. And there's a picture of Mummy and Gigi in the hospital looking very sad. Mummy and Gigi cuddle on the chair. It feels so empty now Daddy's not there. Why are there so many people? They're chanting Daddy's name. They're saying Black Lives Matter. But aren't we all the same? And in these pictures, you can see all of the Black Lives Matter protests that happened around the world last summer. We've got some lovely pictures of all the landmarks to show you all the different countries they happened in. Remember, Daddy told you that the colour of your skin is not always accepted by the world that we live in. These people here are angry because it's just not right. You should always be accepted whether you're black or you're white. What happened to your daddy must never happen again. These people here are protesting so he didn't die in vain. And in the last picture, you can see Gigi, and she has said that her daddy changed the world. And it just shows the impact that the life of one man has made on everybody at the moment in this time.
That's really lovely, really super. And beautifully written and illustrated as well. Really special, isn't it? I'll be honest, it really struck me actually, because your rhyme is almost took me by surprise. Do you know what I mean? It didn't feel like it was going to be a rhyming book, and then one or two words rhymed, and suddenly I realised that was the style. So it was quite enchanting, and the illustration's beautiful as well. Who illustrated it for you?
The illustrator is a girl called Tony Ansell. She's a friend of mine, and she does really fantastic artwork in such a unique style. And so when we had the idea for the book, I just knew that we had to ask her to do it. So thank you so much to Tony for getting on board. Well,
so what are the, I mean, it's a wonderful book. And did you ever think this is your first book?
It is.
And did you ever think you'd write a book when you were a little girl at school, do you think? Or even when you were a new qualified teacher?
It wasn't something I initially ever thought of, but I think sometimes when you have an idea, you kind of have to have the courage to see it through. And I think that's something that we really need to get across to our children, especially creatively. If you have, unique and creative ideas, then sometimes you just have to go out on a limb. Even if you think it might not work, and just go for it. So it was a really enjoyable process working with Kyrone and Tony to help our idea sort of come to life, and now we can hold it in our hands, which is really exciting.
That's wonderful. And I'll be honest with you, I say to people, I'm just a dad. I'm just a dad who saw a TED talk by Sir Ken Robinson, read half a book by Professor Guy Claxton called What's the Point of School? And I went to a festival called Camp Festival, which is a bit like Glastonbury for families, really. And they had Mr. Tumble in one field, but then they had David Rodigan with all the banging drum and bass and all the cool stuff in another field. And it inspired me to run creativity festivals in schools. In this project we call STEAM Camp. We go all over the country doing it. We do half-day sessions, and I did one in the school as I say, in North Liverpool. And I'm going to show that film in a moment, actually, the session I did there, because the parents just loved it. And for me, it's so, so important that all the boys and girls and their parents and carers all work together and support teachers like you and help you, because you've got a very difficult job. And people seem to think you're just like there as a public service, if you like, and people don't realise how hard it is to be a teacher, particularly at the moment. How have you found teaching in lockdown, Miss?
It's been quite a journey. It was difficult to adapt to at first, but do you know what? The parents and the children in our school community have been so great, and it's lovely to be able to do what we do, even if it is virtually, because our job, as difficult as it can be sometimes, is so rewarding, and it's lovely to see the children every day and see them still making progress, even though we're all stuck at home.
No, it's a tough job, isn't it? It's a very tough job, but it's knowing that those children are there and that your work is helping them so much, and developing them. Are the boys and girls reading hard? Are they keeping up with their homework and doing their reading every night, do you think?
Definitely. They've been working really, really hard throughout.
Do you want to put a shout out for some of your pupils?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say any names on here, so
okay, that's fair enough. I don't want to compromise you on that, Miss.
That's all right, but I'll give a shout out to class year 3 at Croxteth. They've worked really hard.
Brilliant. I'm trying to find my little film actually from Liverpool. I don't think I can find it at the moment. Not to worry. Well, we'll find that later on anyway. Well, thank you so much for coming in, Miss. And thank you to Ed Finch. And thank you to Ed Finch as well, who's one of our favourite people in the whole wide world. He's a lovely, lovely teacher, and he plays ukulele in our festivals. Really is lovely. Have you met Ed?
I have, only virtually, but he is a lovely guy, yes.
I've met him for real. Do you know what he does every Sunday afternoon?
What?
Mr. Finch moved from Oxford to Devon, and he lives on Exmoor now. And every Sunday afternoon, he goes for a swim in a stream on Exmouth. I've seen the videos and pictures. And there was snow on the ground the other day, and he jumped in a river for a swim. Now, don't you try this, boys and girls. Obviously, only if they're grown-ups. It's just a very shallow stream, so please don't go swimming in rivers. It's very dangerous if you haven't got grown-ups with you and you haven't got safety equipment. But my goodness me, he's a superman. Well, Miss Newton, I can't thank you enough for taking some time out of your teaching day today. And this is live on the internet now. I don't know if anybody out there's got any comments for Miss Newton or any questions, but I think people are going to come and watch it later on during the day. We've got people here now on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook. But thank you so much for your support. Go and retweet the live stream and tell everybody you're on it. And hopefully we'll come and see you in Liverpool one day and we'll fire some rockets. Would you like that?
That would be great.
And I'll tell you what, I'll send you a copy of the book that I wrote last year. I wrote a book, Just Because You Can, called The Rocket Kid Stories. And these are 9 short stories that parents, children, carers can read together, just 10 minutes a day, like yours. You know, they don't have to be big, long stories, do they, all the time? And I say it's very important that you don't just read them all in one go either. Read them and then talk about them. And I think you'd probably agree as a teacher, it's the talking and the what we call oratory skills that are really important, aren't they? It's not just reading and sitting and talking about things. And that's where the information, the knowledge and the skills come from to help us have fantastic lives. Well, thank you, Mr. Newton. We'll see you again very soon, hopefully.
Thank you very much. Have a happy World Book Day.
Thanks. Happy World Book Day to you, Miss, as well. Bye-bye. Wow, well, how fantastic was that, everybody? Lovely, lovely lady. And what a clever teacher. Well, all teachers are clever. I know all teachers are clever, but isn't she clever writing a book? She wrote herself a book, and that was her idea, to write a book. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the Isle of Wight, I think. Yep, we're going to First Primary in Birmingham. Okay, we're going to do the first primary. Let's just get rid of this. I've got to get rid of Miss before I go much further. I hate to get rid of people like this, but that's what I'm going to do. And I am going to now press that button there. Now, if anybody wants to see my tech today, you've got to put a message in the screen, because I've shown my tech a couple of times. I don't want people getting bored. So if you think my tech's boring, then you don't really want to see it, do you? But if you do want to see my tech, type message in and I'll show you my tech. Coming up in our book day today, we have got, in fact, I might just put my little World Book Day message up, actually. Where's my World Book Day message? I could do that actually, having some breakfast. That would be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be nice to have some breakfast. But you've all had your breakfast. So this is our book day here on a cardboard pyramid stage, live streaming from a cardboard pyramid stage in Warwickshire, actually in Coventry, actually in the playing fields of Joseph Cash Primary. And I'm hoping we can have a Cash has got a Cashinori story. So coming up, we've got a Cashinori story. We've got Grandad Wheels. And now I'm going to tell you the story. If I can get the little video up. I'm going to tell you the story of Armstrong. But not just the story of Armstrong. I'm going to tell you the story of how the Armstrong story came to be and how I got that book and how that book came into my life. And that is the story I'm going to tell you all in a minute when I've got it ready. Bear with me. Let me see if we can get this. Hello, everybody up there in First Primary. Can you see me? I'm on the stage here. Look, can you see me? Wave. Wave to me. I am not very far from you. You're at First Primary in Birmingham, and I am on this great big cardboard cathedral. It's a cardboard model of Coventry Cathedral, because in the World War II, Coventry Cathedral was bombed, and it was bombed almost to the ground. It was a ruin. And after the war, they built a new one. They built a new cathedral, which is the piece on the right, which is modern, which is symbolic of our brave future and how, in a way, after COVID, we've got to rise like this cathedral. We've got to use our art. We've got to use our creativity to rise up out of the ashes, to aim not just high, not just higher than high, not as high as the sky, but higher than the moon, almost as far as Mars. I don't know if you remember me, but my name's Nick, and I came to see you there in First Primary. Oh gosh, about a year ago, there was a general election, and I did a little campaign to get everybody to think about children when they voted. And today, I'm delighted to be back, not just because it's World Book Day, but because today is the Imagine If Festival. A festival where everybody in the world has to imagine if. Imagine if we valued dance as much as we value maths, because maths is important. We really do need to do our maths, but we should also be able to do our dancing. We should also dance and be happy and do our music and do our art. And that is what I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about art. I'm just a dad. I don't know if you remember, I'm just a dad. And I was inspired. I was encouraged. I was given the idea to imagine if I put a high-vis jacket on and a baseball cap that said obey and the posse, because I am the behaviour star. And I want you to obey me today and listen to what I say. That Superman up the very, very top there, his name is Sir Ken Robinson. I wonder if we can zoom in on Sir Ken Robinson. Let me just see if we can. I might be able to do that for you, because he is a very, very special man. I think I can if I press this button here. There you go. So Ken Robinson was a professor of education, and he was passionate about art. He was passionate about creativity, and he was passionate about all of you being allowed to do what you think is important for you, what you love doing, your element, he called it, and I call it your art. Because your art could help you make some money. Your art could help you make the world a better place. And your art could help you make some friends. And that's what I want to talk to you today in this special World Book Assembly, which your librarian, Romina Akhtar, has asked me to do. But first, I'd like to go back to that day in your school. I don't know if you remember when I came in with some very special people. As I said, it was the election day, and I wanted to make everybody think before they voted. Make sure you think about our children. Don't just think about the economy. Don't just think about the health service. Think about our schools, our teachers, our school leaders, everybody in our schools. But most importantly, because the most important thing in a school is you. And I failed. I don't know if you remember, because I wanted to get a big, big, big screen, and I couldn't. The day before I came to see you, I failed and I only got a small one. When I came to see you, I got a middle-sized one. But it got better. Let me show you what happened and remind you of that lovely, lovely day I spent with you there at First Primary.
I'm blinded by your Lord, I've been broken. Although I'm not worthy, you fix me. I'm blinded by your grace. You came and saved me.
Because I want to send a message to our government that your children matter, that our communities matter. We've had an election. People think one thing, they think another, but we are one country, we're one family, we are one community.
One time for the cause, and one round of applause. One time for Fraser T. Smith for the chords.
A week ago, I had the idea of getting a big screen to come here and celebrate 2 days ago, yesterday and the day after. And I did a thing called a crowdfunder. I said to lots of people, can you give me some money? I only gave myself 24 hours, and they said, you'll never do it. And guess how many people gave me money? 40. I got 400 quid. I did a hashtag, #EpicFail19. I failed, I'm a failure. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it again. So I emailed loads of people and said, look, you give me £1. And last night, I got 600 quid. And I found a firm that said, bring me a screen. And then I realised that today's a very special day. Today is a day that this man's album comes out. Stormzy has got his portrait in the National Portrait Gallery at the moment. That's a young man off an estate like this. His art is an inspiration for us all. Let's teach our children not to fear failure. Let's teach our children to make this world a better place. Let's teach our children to not hate, to be together, to be one part of one community. I'm now going to fire this rocket for all of you, for all your children, and for all your futures. Thank you for joining. You have been amazing. Thank you.
What a fantastic day we all had together last year, didn't we? Wasn't it absolutely, absolutely super? And I love coming up to your school there. Do you like Stormzy? I bet your brothers and sisters like Stormzy. And did you know, today's World Book Day, did you know Stormzy has got a book? Stormzy has got a book called Rise Up. Rise Up, and it's a book about the journey, not just Stormzy, because Stormzy doesn't do it all on his own. Stormzy believes in collaboration. He believes in working together. And this is the story of the whole team, the Murky team. And I've just done a project with the man who wrote this book, a Superman called Jude Lawson. And he is going to sign a copy of this book. And I'm going to send it to your school for the school library. And I want somebody to read it and then write some stories about what it taught them, about working hard and about using your art and having your faith and making the world a better place. Mr. Shakeshaft, your head teacher, blinded me with his faith because he's what I call a brave school teacher. He believes in art, he believes in creativity, and he lets people like me come in and inspire people like you. You might have seen in that film, remember Anthony Delfan from the Standing Ovation Project? Superman. So clever, so talented, so generous. And Anthony has done some stuff for us as well, because I've been so busy since I last saw you. Most recently, I went to see a school in Coventry called Joseph Cash Primary, which you might wait and see the sign here. This is the Joseph Cash Primary School sign. And we had a fantastic time with them. I went to their school and I went in to see them, and we did some assemblies and we made rockets like I made with you. I don't know if you remember when I came to see you, we made rockets like this. This little boy made a super rocket. He's fantastic. And I've got to send him a book that I'm going to be reading to you today. We fired dynamite rockets off. I don't know if you remember the dynamite rockets. Here it goes. Wow. We love firing off dynamite rockets, don't we, Steam Code? And we even built a rocket out of cardboard in the school playground. at Cash Primary. It's one that we used in Leeds at Parklands Primary. And at the end of this World Book Day talk, I am going to show you a video of that massive cardboard rocket being fired on the playground at Cash Primary in Coventry just the other day. Would you like to see that? Hands up if you'd like to see that later on. Okay, well, I'll show you that later on. Cash Primary is a very super school because they love art. They love art. They really do love art. Here are the boys and girls. They've done their I love art signs because they love art so much. They did these lovely pictures and showed me when I went to see them. And they're very, very lucky because they're in a city called Coventry. And this year, Coventry is the UK City of Culture. And what that means is that they're going to have lots and lots of festivals and events and shows, and the whole community is going to show their art and use their art and see other people's art and have a lovely, lovely time. And you're very close to Coventry, so you make sure you go down. Now, I'm going to have a chat with Mr. Shakeshaft and see if we can twin you with a school in Coventry. So maybe you could write letters, you could do some video calls, we could get everybody together, because that's what we're doing. We're twinning schools all over the country with schools in Coventry. So you could have some friends in another city. Would you like that? It's all about art. As I say, art is what this is all about. And art is what we call it when what we do connects us to somebody else. So your art could be dressing up like a lady if you're a man and throwing cakes like Grayson Perry, and he does that, and he's very, very famous for doing that. He's got a very popular television program. Your art could be painting. Your art could be photography. Your art could be dancing. Your art could be design, like Morag Myerscough here. Your art could be DJing. Your art could be fashion. Your art could be football. Your art could be cooking. Your art could be coding. Your art could be robots. Your art could be steam engines, like Stephenson's rocket. I love trains. Like Pete Waterman in Coventry, I love trains. Your art could be steam rockets. Your art could be dynamite rockets, like this one. This is the dynamite rocket you might remember that I let off in your school. And I've let rockets off. I don't know if you remember, but I came to your school and we let a rocket off just like this. Wow, there you are, all you boys and girls at Third Primary School.
How was that for you, Seth?
And there's Mr. Shakeshaft. I don't think we need to listen to him today, do we? Because today, I want to remind you about what I told you that time when I came round for Christmas. I want to tell you and remind you about the 3 greatest gifts. The greatest gift that your mums or dads or carers, uncles, aunties, anybody can give you, don't forget, is some of their time. A little bit of time. And you know the best thing you can do with that time with your parents and carers is stories. Reading is so, so important. And the other thing they should give you is your art. They should help you find your elements, help you find something you're really passionate about. Cooking, coding, robots, rockets, dancing, DJing, football, whatever. I love art so much I got the t-shirt. So that's what we're talking about today. I don't know if you remember, but I showed you this film, didn't I, when I came in to see you, of me when I was 1 with my first ever train set. Let's see if I can get that to go. Come on, video. Why doesn't it want to play? Here we go. That's a video of me when I was 1 with my first ever train set, and how my dad showed me how to make a bridge with my hand. So time, stories, and art, the 3 greatest gifts that anybody can give a child. Now, the greatest gift I've ever been given was a book. Lots of books, actually. My dad gave me a super book. My dad gave me this book. I don't know if you remember. This is the book about the rocket boys who saw the Sputnik in the sky one night and were so excited that they learned to make rockets and ended up working for NASA. Homer Hickam. He's one of my friends now, and he inspired me to write a book. I didn't think I could ever write a book, and I wrote my own book called The Rocket Kids Stories, which are 9 little stories that you can read every night with your mums and dads and carers, and it takes 10 minutes for each one, and don't you dare read them all in one go, because this is not a Netflix box set, mum. You don't just sit down with a box of chocolates and read them all in one go. I know what you're like with your television binging. That's The Rocket Kids Stories. And that's the book that I wrote. And I think you've got a copy of that in your library, but I'm going to send you another one anyway, just to be sure. But no, the story I want to tell you about today is this wonderful story. The story of Armstrong, the adventurous journey of a mouse to the moon. This is one of the loveliest books I've ever been given. I love this book so much because this book was given to me by a teacher, a very, very special teacher called Mr. Simpson on the Isle of Wight. And I went to see him exactly a year ago today on World Book Day. I went to the Isle of Wight and I met Mr. Simpson. And a week later, he sent me this book as a surprise, Armstrong, The Journey of an Adventurous Mouse. And this book is about this little mouse who reads in the newspaper all about people going to space. And he thinks, I want to go to space. How can I do that? How can I learn? I'm not allowed to go to school because mice aren't allowed to go to school, are they? So what Armstrong did, he was a bit cheeky. He sneaked into schools and sat on the light in the top of the class, watching the boys and girls learning and writing down what to do. And this book is his story. And I'm going to read you a little bit of this story now, because this story is all about how... Whoops, somebody's ringing me. Let's turn that off. Haha, that's my friend Malumba. Doesn't realise that I'm live at the moment. Armstrong had a telescope, and he looked in his telescope and he could see the moon. And he had ideas about the moon, and he didn't believe what everybody else said about the moon. They all thought it was made of cheese because they were mice, and they thought that the moon was made of cheese, and they didn't want to listen to him at all. And he decided to try and go to the moon to prove them wrong. He decided to aim not just high, not just higher than high, higher than the sky, and to go to the moon. And this is the story of him looking through his telescope and trying to convince all his friends. And he made himself a little rocket. And he thought, how can I make my rocket go? And he tried it with a catapult, a big piece of elastic, and he fired it, and it was a crash bang wallop. It was a terrible, terrible disaster. So he had another idea. He looked at rockets and he realized that most rockets use petrol. Most rockets use petrol. So he looked it up and looked at how engines work, and he made himself a petrol jet engine and strapped it to a roller skate. And I'm going to read you the section in the book about what happens when he makes a rocket with a roller skate and a jet motor powered by petrol. Now, to read this story, I'm going to have to put my glasses on because I'm getting a bit old now, and my eyes aren't very good because I keep looking at computer screens, and it's, ooh, what's that? Is that my eyebrow? Gosh, I have to get my eyebrows trimmed, I think. This chapter is called A Rocket Sled, and it starts just after he had a disaster with the catapult, and he was shaken and battered and bruised. The rocket sled. That was a disaster, moaned the little mouse, sitting in his capsule. It was anything but simple to get back on solid ground. The alarm clock was still dangling high above the busy streets. The parachute had gotten tangled up in a cable. The little mouse tied a few strings together to make a long rope and climbed out of his open-air prison because he was stuck. One thing was certain, a catapult was never going to fire him up into space. Night was falling when the mouse trudged home between the tall rows of houses. Suddenly there was a hissing and a flashing and a banging, and bright lights lit up the sky. Fireworks, he thought. When he'd recovered from the first shock, the little mouse looked for some suitable vantage point from which he could observe the colourful spectacle. He looked at the fireworks, and then he had an idea. The little mouse fastened the last strap to the roller skate. The rocket was now firmly attached to the underside of the roller skate. All he needed was one more set of wings and a long, long ramp. He was putting together the last few bits and pieces, the control column and the firing mechanism, when suddenly, there was a loud crackle and sparks began to fly. With a terrible roar, the engine fired. "Oh no, not now," he said. The rocket sled shot forward. It hurtled across the room, spitting smoke and flames, and crashed into a pile of books and junk. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Look what happened. The whole room caught fire. A cloud of thick black smoke billowed out of the windows. The whole attic was in flames. At lightning speed, the fire cut through the dry wooden beams. The notes and drawings on the walls instantly turned to ashes. The terrified mouse could rescue only one of his designs from the raging inferno. Down in the street, sirens were wailing, and men in big helmets were shouting to one another. "What a catastrophe!" whispered the little mouse. Everything had gone up in flames, all his notes, the rocket sled, and even his telescope. Sobbing his heart out, he crept away from the scene, sadly dragging behind him the one design that he'd been able to save. The giant telephone was not easy to use. The little mouse needed all his strength to dial the numbers. Ring, 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 ring. There was a ringing sound, and then a familiar squeaky voice answered at the other end. It was the old mouse he'd met at the museum. "I've heard what happened. Are you all right?" the old mouse asked in a worried tone. The little mouse told him all about his adventures from his first attempt to fly right through to the disaster with the rocket sled. "You must take more care," the old mouse warned his young friend. "We mice can get easily hurt." They talked for a long time. "On one more thing, be on the alert. The humans have got their eyes on you now." And the police were watching. And that is the end of the chapter in this lovely, lovely, lovely book called Armstrong, The Adventurous Journey of a Mouse to the Moon by Torben Kuhlmann. And I'll post details of this, and I'm going to send a copy of this book to you there at First Primary for your support, for your love, for all your help and inspiration, because Mr. Shakeshaft, Miss Akhtar, I'm blinded by your faith in me as a dad, because you've inspired me, you've encouraged me and all our communities, and I'm nothing without you. And we're nothing without each other, because we'll only do this. We'll only come through this. We'll only beat the virus and rebuild this country if we come together as one. And that is what I want to talk to you about today. And that's what I wanted to say. And I just want to talk to you very, very quickly now about a fantastic thing that happened to me with another school leader, a man called Mr. Dyson, Chris Dyson, who has been very, very generous to me. And just like Mr. Shakeshaft, who's helped me, who supported me. And he let me build this in his playground. A cardboard Mars base camp inspired by Tracy Island from Thunderbirds, which was made by this super clever man. And I've got videos that you can watch to show how to make Tracy Island. He even got a video on how to make the rocket. And what I did, I put it in a room with a big screen behind it, a big green screen. And I took a photo and I cut the green out and I put it on a picture of a playground in Coventry for our Coventry 21 festival, which we did last weekend. And we're in Coventry all month. We're going to be doing events like this all month, linking schools all over the country with Coventry. We even built a cardboard cathedral, as you've seen I'm on now. But what I want to show you now, what I want to finish with now, is this fantastic, fantastic rocket launch. Because now, for you there at First Primary, for all boys and girls all over the country, so that you'll be inspired not to just aim high, not just higher than high, not high as the sky, but higher than the sky, as high as the moon, as high as Mars. I'm going to launch this rocket now, and when I do, I want you all to make a wish about what you are going to do with your art and how you are going to make some money for yourself, a little or a lot, how you are going to make some friends, how you are going to make the world a better place with your art. One day, maybe I'll show you the video of when we launched the tower of Coventry Cathedral like a rocket, which I'm going to do later on today in my World Book Day Assembly. But for now, thank you so much for listening, and I'm going to fire this rocket off, and I'll see you all very soon at First Primary. Happy World Book Day. Never stop reading. Remember the greatest gifts: time, stories, and art.
11, 10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go!
0, all engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
We got a roll program. Plus 30 seconds.
Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to aim high, high as you can, high as the sky. It's been lovely to see you all again today. Can't wait to come back to First Primary. Can't wait to visit other schools, and hopefully we'll link you up with other schools across Coventry. Thank you so much for checking this out. Don't forget, read, 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 read. You can never read enough books. So there you have it. Armstrong, the story of Armstrong, and read there especially for all my friends at First Primary. I hope you can hear me okay. I must admit, I've had a problem with my microphone, because usually I have a little, what's called a lapel microphone, like this one here. If you can see a tiny, tiny little thing there, like that, look, tiny little microphone. And as you clip it on here, and I couldn't work out why it wasn't working. And this is so complicated, the tech I've got here. It's so complicated. In fact, now might not be a bad time. I can show you the tech, actually. I don't think we want to see the tech. Let's see how many people we've got on at the moment. See if there's anybody who'd like to see my streaming tech. We've got a few people logged on. That's good to see. So I've got a little camera here. This is a little GoPro camera, and I'll show you the tech that we've got here if you want to have a look, because we're quite excited. And also I actually quite like people to know why sometimes it doesn't work. It's so complicated. It's so hard. It really is so hard. So I'll have to put my glasses on because it's so small on the screen, and my eyes are getting a bit weird now because of looking at all this small stuff. So let me just see if I can find this camera. Oh, there it is there. I'll tell you what, I'm going to put that camera over there with those other bits. There we go. So now, this is, let's click that and that. So now you should be able to see me. Here I am in the studio, and I've just got a green screen behind me. Just a big green screen, clipped up with some clips in a spare bedroom. And there's the planet that I'm aiming for in my life, the Mirrorball planet. That's planet Mirrorball. I can make that turn around. That's got a little motor on it. That'll turn around now, hopefully. This camera's a little bit clunky because I'm doing it with a little device. It's not brilliant for this, but you get the idea. So robot over there. Look, can you see my robot on the shelf? And some lovely sticky tape. My steam engine's down there as well. That's my steam engine. All my scissors. Space robot. Big ball of string. You always need to have a big ball of string. And it's my breakfast, because I haven't even, it's 11 o'clock and I've only just got my breakfast. It's in such a rush because I had some technical problems with the microphone not working very well. as I said, there's the mixer. Oh, that's where that rocket flew to. Look, that rocket flew to there. That's Darren Wakeham's rocket. That flew there. And there's a laptop there with the PowerPoint on it. And there's a laptop here. Look at this one. This is a beast. This is a gamer laptop. It's a super powerful laptop. And that's got 2 screens on it, one on each side. So on the one side over here, I can see what's going on social media and on Stream Deck and what people are typing in their messages. So for example, if I want to put some words up like our book day, I can click that there and it comes up and says our book day. That flashes up on the screen and I can make that go away. And then over on the other side, I've got another screen where I have Zoom and other people. I've got a camera here and I've got lights. That light should be pointing at me a bit better than that. So there's a light there and another light there. And this is all the tech. And this is the system I'm using. It's very, 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 very complicated. It's the same system. I've been told that Sky TV use this system and sometimes the BBC as well. So these are all the audio inputs here. So this is why the audio is quite complicated. And then these are my videos. And what I can do is I can click here and I can go to different camera positions. So I could come out wide. So I click that button there and it zooms out nice and wide. You'll see that. And then I can zoom in on the screen like that. And I can zoom back in on me like that. So that's that tech. So I'm quite excited about this because this means that we can really run really cool programs. If any schools want us to do TV programs and live streams, we can do that without having to leave home now. Which, because I used to do a lot of driving around, and my wife got a bit grumpy about that. So here I am. So the next thing, oh my goodness, I wonder if I can find this super cool film for you. Let me see if I can find a super cool film of a day that I went to Parklands Primary to see all the boys and girls there. And I got very excited because when I go to a school, I like to do a big assembly and I like to be the star turn and the #1 person that everybody's come to see. And Mr. Dyson, the head teacher at Parklands Primary School, said, "Oh, you'll have to do it the next day because we've got Grandad Wheels coming in." And I thought, who on earth is Grandad Wheels? I couldn't believe that I'd been bumped off stage by somebody called Grandad Wheels. Now, I'd like to show you a little film of Grandad Wheels because he's been a good friend of ours. He's been a super, super good friend for Steamco. And I thought that was the Grandad Wheels film, but that's not the Grandad Wheels film, is it? So let me just find the Grandad Wheels film. Grandad Wheels. I'm a bit like a DJ that doesn't DJ records and music. I'm a DJ that plays video clips. Sometimes not very well, sometimes quite well, but we'll see how we get on. Oops, I didn't mean to play that. Let's go back to that. That was a bit wrong. So I have to just set the audio up for that, and that. These are the things you have to do whenever you import something. Now, this is a film of Grandad Wheels.
How many times have you fell out of your wheelchair?
How many times have I fell out of my wheelchair? The first time I fell out of my wheelchair is because I wasn't very experienced and I made a silly mistake. I had a big bag of shopping on the back and it made it unbalanced. And as I was going up a ramp, I fell out backwards. I broke a dozen eggs and squashed a loaf. So guess who wasn't very happy with me?
Granny!
Yeah, she sent me to the shops and I broke all the eggs and squashed the loaf as well, so I got in a lot of trouble.
So that's Grandad Wheels, and I'm just getting set up because what I want to do now is I want to show you a video of Grandad Wheels telling a story. Oops, he's raced ahead. I haven't got the audio set up yet. Let me just stop that. Stop that, Grandad Wheels. Grandad Wheels, come back. Come back, Grandad Wheels. This is a very, very special reading of Grandad Wheels reading his story called Charlie's Big Adventure. Now, Charlie is Grandad Wheels' grandson. And that's Grandad Wheels on the screen there. So let's just start that again so that we can all hear it. Grandad Will gave me a copy of his book. Where did I put that? Oh my goodness. Is that in my book box or did I have it by my bed because I was reading it? I think it's by my bedside table because I've been reading it. It's a super book. So, boys and girls, this is the exciting story of Grandad Wheels and Charlie's Big Adventure. I hope you enjoy this. Hold tight. Come on, play. Why isn't it playing? I know why it's not playing. I'm going to just take that back.
Welcome to the Adventures of Grandad Wheels. Book 1, Charlie's Big Idea. Hi, Grandad Wheels here, and today I'm going to be reading the first book in the series The Adventures of Grandad Wheels. The first book's called Charlie's Big Idea. So if you're ready, let's begin. Charlie Stewart's granddad wasn't like most other granddads. Whenever Charlie saw him, his granddad was always sitting in a wheelchair. He did everything and went everywhere in his wheelchair. He got into bed to go to sleep, of course, but he had been known to fall asleep in his wheelchair, especially if Granny put something really boring on the telly. Sometimes, if Grandad was having a lie down, Charlie would climb into Grandad's wheelchair and ride around the house. He'd give Barney the dog a ride and have fun pretending to be a racing driver. Although Granny would sometimes tell him off if he bumped into the furniture. Now, when Charlie was very little, he didn't even think about why his granddad used a wheelchair. It's all he'd ever known. He called him Grandad Wheels. That way, everyone knew which of his two granddads he was talking about. But now he'd reached the age of 6, Charlie began to wonder why this grandad needed to use a wheelchair. "Grandad," said Charlie. "Yes," said Grandad, looking up from his newspaper. "Why don't you walk about like everybody else?" Now, Grandad had always expected that Charlie would ask this question one day, so he had a very good answer ready. "Well," said Grandad, "a few years ago on one of my adventures, I had an accident, and when I got better, I found that my legs didn't work. You see, I was in the jungle in Africa when this huge lion jumped out from behind a tree and started chasing me. Of course, I wasn't scared, so I turned to face it, and I was just about to throw it over my shoulder when—"
"Grandad!"
shouted Granny.
"Don't go telling Charlie that nonsense. Tell him what really happened."
Grandad frowned. All right. I suppose I wasn't actually in the jungle, and I suppose there wasn't actually a lion." Granny had her arms crossed and was watching Grandad carefully. Charlie was looking up with his mouth open, so Grandad knew he'd better tell the truth. "Well, what really happened was this. I was out riding my bicycle one Sunday morning when I had an accident and fell off. It took me quite some time to recover," said Grandad, "but the bit about my legs not working is true. So now I have to use this wheelchair to get around." Charlie looked at his granddad and thought about what he'd said. He knew that Grandad couldn't just go onto the grass whenever he wanted. He couldn't get up the stairs. And he was rubbish at playing football. His keepy-uppy record was only 1. He had to go in goal, and even then he wasn't very good. "Does it make you sad that you can't walk?" asked Charlie. "What? Goodness me, no," said Grandad. "I got used to that a long time ago. I just get a bit bored because I don't get to do many exciting things in my wheelchair. I don't get to have adventures like I used to do." "Come on," said Charlie's mum. "It's time we went home for dinner. We can come back to see Granny and Grandad again tomorrow." Charlie gave his Granny and Grandad a big kiss as Mum dragged him down the driveway. "See you tomorrow, Grandad. See you tomorrow, Granny." That night, Charlie couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about what his Grandad had said, and he was trying really hard to think how he could cheer him up. Then, all of a sudden, Charlie sat up in his bed and clapped his hands with excitement. "I know," he said to himself. "I'm going to help my Grandad have an adventure, then he won't be sad anymore." Charlie thought about his plan, smiled to himself, and then drifted off to sleep. When Charlie woke up the next morning, he knew exactly what he was going to do. It was a nice sunny day and he couldn't wait to get to Granny and Grandad's. He gobbled down his breakfast and he was ready long before Mum was. I can't wait to see Granny and Grandad, said Charlie. And Mum, can I take Grandad to the park? To the park, said Mum. Yes, I think Grandad would like that. When they got to Granny and Grandad's house, Charlie ran past Granny. Grandad, Grandad, come on, let's go to the park. Well, said Granny, someone's in a hurry this morning. Off you go then, but make sure you're not late back for lunch. Grandad, make sure Charlie doesn't get into any trouble, and Charlie, you look after your Grandad. Don't worry, we will, they both said at the same time. Charlie grabbed Barney's favourite tennis ball, and off they went. The park was not far from where Granny and Grandad lived, and Grandad could push himself there with Charlie walking alongside. Charlie loved going on the swings and the slide and having an ice cream on the way home. Come on, Grandad, hurry up, he shouted. He really was in a hurry this morning. Hang on, Charlie, said Grandad. I can't keep up. What's the rush? You'll see, giggled Charlie. When they reached the swings, Grandad stopped so that Charlie could have a go. But Charlie didn't stop. Grandad shouted, Where are you going, Charlie? The swings are just here. And look, there's Barney's friend, Sasha. I don't want to go on the swings today, Grandad, said Charlie. Well, the slide is just here too. And look, there's your friend Alistair. Don't you want to play with him? Not today, Grandad. I can go on the slide and play with Alistair tomorrow. Come on, Grandad, follow me. What? Wait for me, shouted Grandad as he pushed his wheelchair as fast as he could to try and keep up with Charlie. Look at this, Grandad, said Charlie. Grandad and Charlie were at the skateboard park. There were slopes and curves made out of smooth concrete, and there were big kids whizzing around on their skateboards. They were doing tricks and even flying up in the air before they landed again on their skateboard wheels. Why have you brought me here, Charlie? Asked Grandad. I didn't know you liked watching the skateboarders. Oh, I'm not bothered about them, Grandad, but I thought this might be a good place for you to have an adventure, chuckled Charlie. Eh? What do you mean, Charlie? Said Grandad. But before he could get an answer, Grandad felt himself move slowly forward. Charlie had got behind his Grandad and was pushing him towards the edge of the slopes. What's going on, Charlie? Asked Grandad. Don't worry, giggled Charlie. You'll see. Then, with one final push, Charlie sent his Grandad down the slope and into the maze of twists and turns that made up the skateboard park. Ah! Screamed Grandad as he picked up speed. He whizzed past all the other skateboarders with his hands up in the air, and they all jumped out of the way. He was terrified and screaming at the top of his voice. He thought he was going to have a crash and fall out of his wheelchair. Then, after a while, he started to enjoy it and began to laugh. Wow, this is fantastic, Charlie. I've not had this much fun in ages. Charlie laughed as he saw his Grandad start to do tricks. He was spinning around at the top of the slopes before whizzing down the sides again. At one point, his wheels left the ground altogether and he was flying through the air. Now the other skateboarders were pointing at Grandad wheels as he showed them how to do it. After he watched his Grandad for about 10 minutes, Charlie said, Come on, Grandad, it's time to go. Grandad wheels just didn't want to stop, but he knew they'd be in trouble with Granny if they were late back for lunch. So he did one last trick turn in the air before landing with a bump on the path that led to the ice cream van. Wow, shouted Grandad. That was the best adventure ever. Charlie laughed and gave his Grandad a high five. I knew you'd like it, said Charlie. Now you don't have to be bored. We can have adventures whenever you want. I can't wait to tell Granny what we did. Ah, said Grandad. I'm not sure that's such a good idea. Maybe Granny wouldn't be keen on the idea of me playing in a skateboard park. Let's just keep it to ourselves, eh? Grandad winked at Charlie and said, Come on, let's finish these ice creams and then head back. Charlie and Grandad giggled all the way back to Granny's house when they thought about what they'd done. Hello, Mum. Hello, Granny, said Charlie. Is lunch ready yet? Yes, it is, said Mum as she dished out the food. Now you two, go and wash your hands, please.
Wait a minute, you two. What have you been up to? Said
Granny. Grandad and Charlie stopped in their tracks. Uh-oh, they whispered to each other as they turned to face Granny. Nothing, said Grandad, as he tried to look innocent as though nothing had happened.
Yes, you have. You've both had ice cream, haven't you? I can see it all around your mouths. Grandad, how many times have I told you not to buy Charlie ice cream just before lunch?
Sorry, said Grandad, but he and Charlie were trying not to giggle as they went off to the bathroom to wash their hands. After lunch, Charlie's mum said, "Come on, it's time to go." They both kissed Granny and Grandad goodbye. And with that, he looked over his shoulder and winked at Grandad Wheels. "See you again soon, Grandad," he said. Now he just had to think of some more adventures for his Grandad Wheels.
I'm very, very sure that Sir Ken Robinson would very much have approved of that little piece there by Grandad Wheels. Lovely, lovely piece here. Okay, so people are telling me there's no sound. I just need to check this just 1 second. Let's have a look, because it says it's sending sound. Let me just listen on my phone. Got no sound of it. Let's have a look. I didn't pin this. Did I meant to pin it? Let's have a look. Let's pin that. I'll pin tweet. Let's have a listen. One, two, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, we've got audio. So Malumba can't hear it, I can. Okay, so you can hear me, that's good. Maybe YouTube's lost its audio, maybe YouTube has muted us because they felt it was copyright. You can hear me, that's good. Okay, let's turn that down.
Welcome to the adventures of Grandad Wheels.
Oh, everything's gone crazy, isn't it?
But one, Charlie's big idea.
What I'm going to do is get all the way down here.
Hi, Grandad Wheels here.
Love to see you, Grandad Wheels. Thanks for popping in. So now, finally, the end of our book day, hashtag our book day. Let's just flash that message up so everybody knows exactly where they are and what's going on. We are going to do something very special. We're going to do something very, 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 very special now, because today is Imagine If Day. It's the anniversary of the birthday of Sir Ken Robinson, the man, the dad who inspired me to do what I'm doing here today. I'm getting beeps in my ear. What's that all about? No, sure, I can't see what that's all about. It's a bit annoying getting beeps in your ear. So, okay, well, if there's no sound on YouTube, I'll have to live with it, not to worry. And Imagine if Day, in memory of Sir Ken Robinson, this wonderful man who inspired me as a dad to do what I could do to inspire children like you all over the world to be your best, to aim not just high, but higher than high. Sir Ken's written some wonderful books, The Element, how to find something you're passionate about, and that's certainly inspired me, and that's certainly what I've done. And there are a couple of books that I'd love to share with you now, my favourite books. I think these are the books that have changed my life more than absolutely anything else in the whole wide world. And this is one of those. Let's get the, oops. I want to get that one there a little bit better. Let me just edit this a little bit. Get myself on my little stage so I can show you these books. So the first book, which I think is really special, this is one for grown-ups really. It's called The Icarus Deception by Seth Godin. And it asks the question, how high will you fly? The Icarus Deception. It says that art is frightening. Art isn't pretty. Art isn't painting. Art isn't something you hang on the wall. Art is what we do when we're truly alive. And if you have decided that you're not an artist already, then it's worth considering why you made that decision and what it might take to unmake it. If you've announced that you have no talent in anything, then you're hiding. Art might scare you. Art might bust you. But art is who we are, and art is what we do, and art is what we need. An artist is someone who uses bravery, who uses insight, creativity, and boldness to challenge the status quo. And an artist takes it, all of it, the work, the process, the feedback from those we seek to connect with personally. Art isn't a result. Art is a journey. The challenge of our time is to find a journey worthy of your heart and your soul. That's why I say that art connects. And it might not work, but here's the thing. The guy who invented the ship also invented the shipwreck. And either you're in or you're out. Either you want to play this game or you don't. Because art isn't something we do which is conventional and boring and industrialized. Art is what we do when we are truly, truly alive. And now I'd like to finish the session today with a very, very, very special thing. Here on our stage, celebrating, remembering the life of Sir Ken Robinson, the man who helped me find my element, the man who helped me aim not just high, but higher than high, high as the sky. We're going to have a reading, a Kashinori, by the school teachers at Joseph Cash Primary. Down on the stage that you can see down there below, we're going to cut to that stage and ask ourselves, imagine if. Imagine if we viewed imagination not just as a frivolous pastime. Imagine if we viewed imagination as a force we can use to transform ourselves and the world, a force we can use to transform the world, to make the world a better place. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up the stage that you see on the bottom left-hand corner of this screen. I'm just going to zoom in on that just a second and do that very, very, very quickly for you all. We are going to now hear from the staff of Joseph Cash Primary reading a story on this stage, the stage that you see down there in the bottom corner. All the way over there, we're going to put the staff of Joseph Cash Primary on that stage. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do it using the super technology that I've got at my disposal here today, which is going to be fun if I can get this working. Because I've got a video that Joseph Cash Primary made for me. And here is the video. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you this video very, very quickly and how we're going to get this working. And I'm going to show you the technology that we've got here today. I don't know why I can't hear her, actually. That's interesting. I should be able to hear that. I hope you can. So that's Miss Nelson, the head teacher. Now what I need to do, I need to put her onto this stage. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create what's called a new virtual studio, which is easier said than done, but I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to actually do this live as we do this. This is really quite hard. I'm going to create a virtual set like this. And in the background of the set, so I'm going to display on the screen now the virtual set. So you'll see there just lots of little black and white squares. That means there's nothing. There's nothing there at all. I can alternate between Miss Nelson and the set, but that's no good. And I don't want that to play automatically, so I'll turn that off. So Mrs. Nelson is on the stage. So no, she's not. There's a blank stage. Now that image on that stage, I want to be, where are we? I want that to be, this is going to be a bit slow, but don't worry. So the background image is going to be the image of the stage. I need to find where that is. That is image number image number 155. Okay. Now you're not going to see very much at the moment, so I can't show you my screen. So we'll get there in a minute. So image number 155 is right down at the bottom. This is how we have to do all this. It's very slow. So there's the background. Okay, you can see the background. I now want to put the head teacher in front of that stage on layer 4. Let's put her on layer 4. So she's on layer 4, and I also want to have, see the yeah, okay, so I'm going to put her on there on layer 4. So we'll find that. I've never done this live before. I've usually got somebody to help me do this. So there she is. Now she's far too big, isn't she? She's far too big. Let's just pause that a second. Is that going to pause? Let's have a look. Can we pause that? Yes, we can. I don't know why that's automatically why is it playing automatically? That's why. So I now need to go into that setting and change the colors and make anything that's green disappear. So I use my special little tool to make that disappear, and suddenly she's sitting in front of the stage like that. Okay, now I want her to be down the bottom there. So I click on that, and what layer was that? Was that layer 4, wasn't it? I think we made her 5. Okay, so I'm going to shrink her down, make her small like that. And I'm going to put her over there like that. Make her just a little bit smaller, I think, like that. So she's now sitting on the stage reading that story. Okay, like so. Now I can choose my cameras. So that will be camera number 1 will be that one. Camera number 2 is a zoom in, but that's zoomed into the wrong place a bit, hasn't it? So let's change that. Let's change that and move it so that in fact that is her over there like that. Let's see how that looks. So we go back and then we can zoom in on her reading the story on the stage. I think that will do, don't you? Right, so rewind selector, as they say. So we're going to go from here, and I'm going to start with the cathedral wide like that. So are we ready? Are we ready? Make sure I've got all my audio set ready to go. I couldn't hear it, but I don't know why I couldn't hear it. But we'll, okay.
Others to thank. There's enough.
It says there's audio coming out, so I'll have to believe there is. Right. So hello everybody, welcome, and thank you for sitting through this our book day here with Steam Co live from a cardboard pyramid stage. We've had an absolutely fantastic day today, hearing all sorts of stories from a school teacher in Liverpool who has written her own story about diversity and inclusion and respect and everybody. We're here today to celebrate Sir Ken Robinson, and I might be able to get a slide up on the stage here. I think we should get this sorted out for the end, don't we? So let me just get that up there. So go to setup. Oh, I don't know. I'll leave that as it is. So Sir Ken Robinson's up the top. We can flash up to Sir Ken Robinson. So Ken has been looking down on us all day today. I'm very confident of that, enjoying what we've been trying to do. Hopefully give me a little bit of credit for having a go and not being too worried, not fearing failure, but having a crack here on a cardboard Coventry stage, Coventry Cathedral. And I'm absolutely delighted now that I've just been told that on the stage we have ready to go our teachers from Joseph Cash Primary, who are going to read a very famous story about a very famous person from the history books of Coventry. And I must admit, I quite like to see her on the stage. I don't know why I can't. So, oh, I've got the wrong one up. I'll look at it. Let's have a look. Oh my goodness, this is so hard. This is so hard. Here we are. Okay. So we're ready to go.
Hi,
I hope you can hear that, because I can't. I don't know why.
A very special story called Lady Godiva's birthday suit. A name you may have heard before. She came from Coventry. Lady Godiva, she was called an icon of the city. Married to a very rich man, Lord Leofric had lots in the bank. Our people are so poor, she said, and for that they have us to thank.
There's enough money to go around, so let's face the facts. We can help our people dear by lowering the tax.
Her husband was shocked. He didn't find it funny that his wife, Lady Godiva, would give away their money.
I have an idea to show you my care. I'll take off my clothes and ride through the city bare. Lady Godiva, with nothing to wear, thought, I'll cover myself with my long blonde hair.
Climbing onto her faithful horse, the morning of the ride, the people of Coventry were full of endless pride.
Riding naked through the city, it wasn't very nice, but to help the people of Coventry, she was happy to pay the price.
Riding naked through the city in just her birthday suit, she believed was all worthwhile to solve the tax dispute. They closed their windows, they closed their doors, they hid their eyes for the worthy cause.
Apart from one cheeky chap, his name was Peeping Tom. He peeked outside his window to try and see her bum.
Okay, so on her return, Lord Leofric said, we'll give our money away. And this is why Lady Godiva is remembered to this day.
The people of the city now loved her even more, the biggest act of bravery that they ever saw.
She found in Broadgate her pin badges on frocks. You'll find her every hour going round the Godiva clock. Godiva's legend carries on. After 1,000 years, Coventry people tell the story of all the city's cheers. That was the story of Lady Godiva's birthday suit by Aaron Ashmore.
Wasn't that lovely? Here on a cardboard Coventry Cathedral, built originally before the war, many, many hundreds of years before the war, bombed during the war, devastated in the war, and it rose from the ashes. It rose from the ashes in the form of a new cathedral, and it rose again this weekend, this week at hashtag Coventry 21, our creativity festival celebrating the power of art and creativity to inspire our children, to inspire us all, to be our best for our kids, to support our children, to support our schools, to support our teachers, and to come together and be together. This year is Coventry's City of Culture, kicking off in May. And all this month, all through March, we're going to be doing live streaming, half-hour free sessions, a bit like this, a bit better than this, hopefully a bit more polished than this, to help our children find their art. We're going to be twinning schools here in Coventry, here in Warwickshire, here in Shakespeare country, here in Ken Robinson County, where he was Professor of Education at Warwick University for nearly 20 years. We're going to be celebrating those schools. We're going to be connecting those schools with school communities all across the country. In the way that Ken Robinson inspired me, we're connecting communities and schools across the country, because later this year, we're looking to get funding to put 3 people like me on the road with Steamco trainers to go into communities and run creativity days, to prove it can work, to prove the interest is there, to learn some lessons. And next year, we want to put 22 of these drop trucks on the road to take creativity, to take connectivity, to take that heart and spirit of community to communities across the country. I'm now going to finish with the launch film where we show the children how this rocket.
And welcome to Cash and All.
Take that off. That video started playing again. I'm going to play the video, the final launch video of our rocket taking off, if I can find it. I didn't have time to plan this. Oh goodness, where does time go? Where does time go? Where does time go? Well, we'll soon find out where time goes. Okay. Do we think it's that one, or should we go for that one? We'll go for this one. Okay. So are you ready? Are you ready? We are just about, we have got clearance, I believe, to launch this rocket, to celebrate creativity, to celebrate all our futures, and to encourage our children to not just aim high. Actually, that's not the one I want to play. That's not the best one. Let's find the best one. Hang on a second. I'm sorry about this. We had a new version through. Let me just check which one it is. Not that one. Okay, it's not that one. Is it this one? Right, I have found it, you'll be glad to know. Right, my goodness, this is not for the faint-hearted, this video DJing stuff. But it will get easier. I know it will get easier. Just got to get what they call the workflow sorted out. So, here, live on a cardboard cathedral in Warwickshire, celebrating the life of the wonderful man, Sir Ken Robinson, connecting our communities, connecting our children, connecting our schools with their culture, their art, their humanity. I am now going to finally, you'll be glad to know, play this video and launch the tower of Coventry Cathedral to encourage all our kids not just to aim high, but higher than high. Thank you for joining us. Be safe, keep strong, stay sane.
20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Tower clear.
Just 30 seconds.
Is
Good evening. All schools across the country will close until further notice as coronavirus reached a month.
Primary. Where is Chris Dyson? Can we have Chris Dyson on this stage, please?
As I said, we're in the toughest area in Leeds, and yet our school children, the children that actually sit on the interview panel for the Northern Ballet, because I want to give them an opportunity that they've never sort of had before. And it shows if you believe in the people, you believe in these teachers, you believe in these kids, absolutely anything is possible.